Hey, what is going on, guys? Hope you guys are all having a wonderful morning. Thank you for tuning in to Rules for Rebels. Just heading into the office here, but wanted to make a quick video talking a little bit about the little bit of a bounce, a little bit of a recovery we're seeing today in the cryptocurrency markets. This is pretty much all based on the Senate Banking Committee's meeting yesterday, in which we saw Clayton, the commissioner of the SEC, and Giancarlo, the commissioner of the CFTC, testify about cryptocurrency. This entire meeting was really, for the most part, about cryptocurrency, with the exception of Elizabeth Warren chiming in, talking about something totally off topic. Like, if somebody could say shut the fuck up with their eyes, watch that piece where Elizabeth Warren is talking and look at Clayton, and he's like, it's just kind of completely unrelated to the rest of the testimony and the rest of the meeting, but that part was kind of interesting. I just kind of wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of kind of my talking points, what I thought was important about it, etc. If you want to watch a great video that goes into more depth about it, check out Doug Polk. Doug Polk, the professional poker player, does a lot of crypto stuff, and he has a great video. It's like an hour-and-a-half long live stream where he goes through a lot of the meeting and shows you guys a lot of highlights and things like that. So if you want to check that out, definitely worth checking out. I believe C-SPAN already has the audio from the meeting up. If you want to listen to it, if you actually want to watch it, that should be coming out probably today, I would think. So overall impressions, I thought everything was pretty positive. I thought things went about as well as they could have gone. The SEC nor the CFTC were really hostile towards Bitcoin. I thought they actually seemed very, very open-minded. I was impressed with their knowledge base, right? A lot of times I feel like people who aren't in the crypto space don't have a clue or misspeak or misrepresent cryptocurrency. And overall, I thought they were very knowledgeable. I thought they came at it from a very kind of level playing field, not overly hostile. And some people are even saying that Giancarlo was actually very kind of optimistic, actually dropped the term hodl on the Senate Banking Committee floor. So I think that was kind of one of the highlights of the meeting that kind of went viral. A lot of people are kind of talking about, like, a lot of people are acting like Giancarlo is like the savior of cryptocurrency and are calling him Satoshi Giancarlo. Well, he was positive, and while I did like a lot of the things that he had to say, make no mistakes, regulation is coming. And he even said that, I believe it was CoinDesk wrote an article very positive, very glowing about this meeting, and I don't recall who it was, but somebody essentially retweeted and was like, you know, hey, but like, come at this from a more balanced front. You know, CoinDesk had kind of left some things out about regulation is coming. They had kind of said some very optimistic things about blockchain that were kind of said about blockchain more so than cryptocurrencies. And I actually saw Giancarlo on Twitter had actually retweeted that comment and basically said, like, yeah, you're kind of stretching what we said. You're kind of stretching with your point right there. But nonetheless, everything was very, very positive. I have kind of an analogy to make in regards to how the crypto space is going to look like in a year or 2 years. Obviously, the cryptocurrency space moves very fast. Things are constantly changing. So regardless of regulation, obviously the market's going to look completely different 2 years down the road. However, the cryptocurrency markets that you're seeing today, 2 years from now, you're going to look back at this and be like, that is insane, like how much of kind of a Wild West atmosphere it was. And it's going to be hard to believe. And the people who got in early, you know, many were actually able to kind of take advantage of that kind of environment. But I would almost compare it to eBay. I know eBay still, in a sense, is much more Wild West than Amazon. Amazon is like very strict at controlling their platform and controlling the brand image and what's sold on the platform. And eBay, well, they have tightened up over the years. It's still much more lax than Amazon. But look back, think about eBay like a few years back, or even like 10 years back. Some of the stuff being sold on eBay was just crazy. I mean, I remember, like, if you wanted to grow like magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, people were actually selling like mushroom spores and mushroom growing kits. I mean, you could literally buy a kit off eBay and grow magic mushrooms at your house. I mean, we have the example of like Roger Ver selling you know, fireworks or explosives on eBay. But I mean, if you look at eBay years ago, it was amazing some of the stuff that was allowed to be sold on there. It was amazing what a free and open platform it was. And, you know, not to talk good or bad about eBay, but just the point being, look at how as eBay has grown, how it's matured, and how it's gotten more strict. And I think we're going to see the same thing with the cryptocurrency markets. A couple I don't know if we want to call them negative, but a couple points that are definitely going to be regulated. It was brought up about countries like Venezuela and North Korea using cryptocurrency to evade sanctions. Something definitely is going to have to be done about that. Like in terms of like customers or companies following know your customer policies and anti-money laundering guidelines, that's something that's going to be treated very, very strictly. I mean, just look at the rest of the financial world, all the hoops we have to jump through, and, you know, proof of funds, source of funds, where's this money coming from, who are you, where's your ID, what's your social, all that type of stuff that maybe has been a bit lax in the cryptocurrency community. That is all coming. I think probably the biggest thing to come out of this meeting, in my opinion, ICOs are pretty much dead in the water. The days of being able to go onto a website, drop some ETH on them, and participate in an ICO, done. I know Jay Clayton had mentioned during his testimony, I think he said the word ICO like 24 times or 26 times. Giancarlo only mentioned the word ICO one time. There was talk of how like 10% of ICO funds are lost to like hacks and fraud and stuff like that. It may even be higher than that. A lot of people have gotten burned by ICOs. They are definitely going to regulate ICOs. They essentially said that every single ICO they've seen is a security, and they said not a single ICO has actually registered as a security. So there definitely is going to be a crackdown on ICOs. What's going to wind up happening, in my opinion, is either only accredited investors are going to be allowed to participate, and you actually have to, I believe there's sites that you have to go on for every single ICO you want to participate in if you're an accredited investor, and you have to submit like a tax return and like show paste. Basically, it's a bunch of hoops to jump through to prove that you've either, I believe it's you've either made $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years, or you have $1 million in net worth, not including your home. So basically that probably knocks out, I would imagine, the vast majority of us. Either that or you can't be a U.S. citizen. So I think that's what we're going to see. Either ICOs are only going to be available to institutions and accredited investors, or they're just going to lock U.S. citizens out of ICOs altogether. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'll use a VPN. I use VPNs to access, you know, foreign crypto exchanges and things like that. The rest of the world tends to follow suit with the U.S., which in some ways is a good thing regarding this meeting, because it wasn't hostile towards Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So if the rest of the world kind of follows the U.S.'s lead, that would actually be a very positive thing in some senses. However, I also think the rest of the world is going to follow the U.S.'s lead in terms of ICOs, and basically everybody's going to be locked out of ICOs. There were a couple interesting ICOs going on right now that I was thinking about participating in, and I think I'm going to take a step back and not participate in ICOs until we have some more clarity. I think that'll be kind of the strongest regulation to come out of this. I heard another thing during the meeting. They said something about the SEC does not have the power to regulate commodities markets. So the SEC can't necessarily regulate Coinbase. What they can regulate is derivatives, so like, you know, margin trading and things like that. And then obviously any coin, any token that pays a dividend or promises a return also tends to be a security. Any coin that promises profit tends to be viewed as a security. So yeah, I think the ICO space is the biggest area that we're going to see kind of a crackdown on. I had kind of said from the very beginning of this, I said I think really no matter what happens, it's going to be a positive thing. We've had a lot of negative news dragging down the markets, and I think part of the reason things hadn't recovered was everybody was waiting for this meeting yesterday to kind of see what the government stance was. As I had said in previous videos, the worst thing for markets is uncertainty. That's why the day after Trump got elected, we saw the stock market rise. I don't, you know, to some extent, I know some people love Trump, some people hate Trump. To some extent, that may have been, hey, we have an anti-regulation guy in the White House. Hey, we have a business-friendly person in the White House. Hey, we have a businessman instead of a politician in the White House. There may have been some positive sentiment on that front, but I think more than anything, it's just, you know, markets don't like uncertainty. So as soon as you have some certainty in the market, good or bad, it's a positive thing. And I think we saw that here. Like I said at the beginning, even negative news, I think, is better than not knowing anything at all. And I think the quote-unquote China ban kind of illustrates that very well. When China quote-unquote banned cryptocurrencies initially, kind of the market sell-off and everything started following Charlie Lee's tweet. And at that point, it was just rumors. We didn't know what was going on. China, quote-unquote, banned cryptocurrencies. In reality, all they did was ban exchanges, not cryptos themselves. But the markets tanked for a couple days, right? But then as soon as some kind of clarity came into the space, and okay, look, China's not banning peer-to-peer sales. They're not banning crypto as a whole. They're just shutting down exchanges, and who knows how long that'll even last. Well, now there's a little bit more certainty in the markets, and we saw how quickly that recovered, right? Like, markets tanked on that news, and probably within like 3 or 4 days, things had recovered, and the market continued to grow after that. So for the most part, I kind of thought no matter what happens, as long as they don't outright ban cryptocurrencies or shut down exchanges, this is going to be positive news. One thing I kind of think I overlooked with that prediction, and fortunately things wound up working out for the better, but these markets can be finicky, right? Like, all it takes is one rumor, one weird piece of news to throw markets into a tailspin. And I think had either the SEC chairman or the CFTC chairman, or even, you know, some of the senators, had they come out very kind of antagonistic against cryptocurrency, I could have seen the markets acting negatively. But overall, I thought things were very, very positive. I kind of already talked about this, but Giancarlo touched on intrinsic value. I kind of think the intrinsic value comes from the acceptance, how the community as a whole assigns value to cryptocurrency, as well as like the utility and the technology behind it. Giancarlo actually did mention that it had intrinsic value, and he kind of backed up that statement by saying there's a cost to mining Bitcoins, and that's sort of where the intrinsic value comes from. So I thought that was interesting. I kind of already mentioned that Giancarlo actually dropped the word HODL, hold on for dear life. I don't think I ever really knew that it stood for that. I don't think I ever really cared, but yeah, he dropped that term and said that he heard it from his niece, and young people are very bullish on cryptocurrencies. Young people are more interested in cryptocurrencies in the stock market, and he said we shouldn't take a dismissive approach towards cryptocurrencies. We should respect young people, respect millennials, and take this thing seriously. So that was a very positive thing. What else did he say on that front? He went on to say that they wanted to take a do no harm approach. So basically, I think they realized that their actions could potentially either end cryptocurrency or tank the cryptocurrency markets. So he said they wanted to take kind of a level-headed, do no harm approach, and a lot of people took that as a very positive thing as well. So that was good news as well. There were a couple kind of odd lines of questioning. I believe it was Senator Kennedy said something along the lines of, he asked Giancarlo, like, have you ever, or well, what's the last investment that you bought? And I think Giancarlo was like, oh, probably an index fund. And he said, did you read the prospectus? And Giancarlo was like, I probably shouldn't admit this, being an attorney and being the chairman of the CFTC. He's like, but honestly, he's like, I either didn't read the whole thing or I probably didn't read it at all. And then Kennedy kind of launched into this thing about like, well, what's the point of even like having disclosures and prospectuses because people don't even read them? And it was kind of like, I didn't really get what he was coming at there. Was he saying like there should be no disclosures with investments? I mean, that's like saying, let's not put warnings on medication because nobody really reads them. Let's not put nutrition on food because for the most part, nobody really reads them. Like, philosophically, I kind of get what he was coming at, that like people don't read disclosures, but I mean, I didn't really get like what the kind of whole point of that was. So that was kind of a weird line of questioning. Okay, guys, sorry for that little break there. I just pulled up at my destination here, about to run in and grab some breakfast here. But I just want to touch on a few more things. Another important thing Giancarlo said, I can actually refer to my notes now. Another important thing Giancarlo said was Bitcoin and blockchain cannot be separated. A lot of times we hear bankers and Wall Street guys and even politicians say things like blockchain is an incredible innovative technology, but cryptocurrencies are stupid. And he kind of made the point, and I give him props for that, and I think it was very positive for the crypto space. He said we wouldn't have blockchain without Bitcoin and without cryptocurrency. So like they're one and the same. He mentioned how the Dreyfus company just did a deal of 6 million tons of soybeans being sold to China, being moved to China, and the logistics were handled by blockchain technology. Another interesting thing he pointed out, he actually made reference to the the whole 2008 housing crash and stock market crash. He somewhat alluded to that potentially could have been prevented using blockchain technology. Obviously, that's a very, very complicated situation, but essentially with all the derivatives and leverage in the market and with basically just a situation that wasn't sustainable, he said if we had blockchain technology, whereas back then it was like way too much data to sort through, nobody really saw it coming, with the exception of that whoever Christian Bale played in The Big Short, where he did see it coming. Totally off topic there, but he basically said potentially the 2008 housing crash and stock market crash and the whole banking sector falling apart could have been prevented had we had blockchain technology and been using blockchain technology. He did say, he and pretty much everybody said that this market and cryptocurrency needs increased scrutiny. That could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing in the sense that cryptocurrency is being treated like a real asset class and not some like digital video game gold. It could be a bad thing just in that, a lot of us aren't fans of regulation, especially in the cryptocurrency space. We talked about the do no harm approach, and I think I already mentioned the tweet in response to the Coinbase article and how Giancarlo kind of was like, hey guys, tamper your enthusiasm. Some of this stuff is kind of stretching what I said. Overall, it was very positive. It was much better than I would have expected. And going into the short of like an incredibly hostile, we're banning exchanges or we're banning cryptocurrency, I thought really only good stuff could have come out of this. But yeah, one kind of cool thing, the markets have reacted positively to this. Bitcoin is back up over 8,000. Surprisingly, Ethereum and Litecoin haven't seen much of a recovery. I saw Bcash is up a little bit today. But one thing I am seeing is the cryptocurrency community is kind of weird in the sense that there's much more of like a brotherhood, a fraternity, a camaraderie that you don't see in like the stock market or other marketplaces. And I noticed like on Twitter, on Reddit, on social media as a whole, the community has really come together. Everybody's really enthusiastic over this news. Everybody's kind of rah-rah. There's some more stability, some more security, some more optimism in the markets. All the fun memes and stuff are coming out. And as stupid as that might sound, that like social media or Reddit can kind of drive markets, like, the cryptocurrency space, like herd mentality and all that stuff, it plays a big role. I've seen studies before that show you can predict what cryptocurrency markets are going to do, basically completely based off the sentiment on Reddit and other social media sites. So the fact that everyone's so optimistic and the community has kind of come back together, I think is kind of a positive thing for markets. I think it's too early to say we're in a recovery. I'm not going to say we're going to be back up to 15 grand anytime soon. But in general, I think hopefully this kind of tampers down this kind of string of negativity, the slide we've been seeing in the markets, and all the bad news that we've been having. So that's just kind of my thoughts, my ramblings on the whole situation. I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts were. What were some of the highlights of the meeting to you? What do you think this is going to do for the markets? What do you think the markets, both like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, as well as altcoins, like how are they going to react to this? What does this mean for SEOs? For ICOs, curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I have a Bitcoin meeting tonight. One thing that should be kind of interesting, the gentleman who runs the Bitcoin meeting I go to is big on ICOs. He's a big ICO guy. He kind of, I don't want to say he shuns other cryptocurrencies, but like his strategy is mainly ICOs and talks about what great returns he's gotten, and he's kind of pushing ICOs on people. So I'm kind of curious to see how he reacts to this news. One interesting thing, he's actually, well, he lives in the U.S. He's not a U.S. resident, so he still has a foreign passport. So I imagine he could probably still participate in ICOs. But I'm curious to kind of see his thoughts on this, as well as my whole Bitcoin meetup group's thoughts on this. So I'll probably make a video. I never really made a video talking about my second Bitcoin meetup. Tonight will be my third. Going to be a smaller one, but maybe I'll make a video tomorrow reporting back about how that went. Again, curious to hear your thoughts, guys. Drop your comments in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.